If you are someone thinking of coming to study in Brazil, then this video is definitely for you. You guys are welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the PEC-G program. Everything you guys need to know, the documents you guys need to prepare even before you get on the plane and come here to Brazil. So as you guys might be wondering, PEC-G actually stands for Programa de Estudantes Convênio de Graduação, which is actually a scholarship program or agreement between Brazil and a lot of countries like Ghana, Nigeria, a lot of African countries, and also a lot of South American countries and even Asian countries. So what actually happens is the government of Brazil opens spots in its public universities. And if you are lucky and you are selected, you come here to study for free. Yeah, it's tuition free. And you can study as any other Brazilian in the public universities. But one thing you guys need to remember is that PECG doesn't actually pay for your life expenses here in Brazil. That is why it is very important you need to prepare yourself very well before you come here to Brazil. You need to organize your documents, finances, and even expectations before applying. So to be able to apply for the PEC-G program, first of all, you must be a citizen of the country where you're applying from, be it Ghana, Nigeria, whichever country you're from. Secondly, you must have completed secondary school. Thirdly, you must be between the ages of 18 and 23 years. But the most important requirement is language. You need to speak the Portuguese language. I actually took part in the PECG program myself. That is how come I ended up here in Brazil. And when I was coming, I actually didn't know anything of Portuguese. I didn't speak Portuguese. So when I came here in the first 2 or 3 months, I suffered a lot. But if you guys have the chance and you can start learning Portuguese in your country of origin, it will be the best thing that you could ever do. So you can learn, start the language before you actually plan on coming here to Brazil. Now, this is the part where many applicants actually fail. They don't prepare the right paperwork. But let me show you. Take a paper and a pen, and here is what you're actually going to need. So the first thing you're going to need is a valid passport. You know, before you travel to any place, that is the first thing you always need. The second thing you're going to need is your secondary school diploma and transcripts, and they should be translated to Portuguese by a sworn translator. The next thing you're going to need is your birth certificate. The next one is a certificate of good conduct providing no criminal record from your country of origin, because they normally ask here in Brazil. It is something that is very important. Anything you're going to do, anywhere you're going to, they'll ask you for a criminal record. The next thing you're going to need is a medical certificate ensuring that you are in good health. The next thing is a proof of financial ability to support yourself here in Brazil. What actually happens is that they will ask you for either a bank statement. Normally, that is what they ask for. So you need a bank statement. You can use your own bank statement, any family member's bank statement, or you can have a sponsor whereby the sponsor will provide his or her bank statements for you to be able to use when you're applying for the PECG program. The last but not the least is the PECG application form filled and signed. All these documents are very important and they need to be signed and authenticated in the Brazilian embassy before submitting them. Failure to do any of these or to translate even any of the documents can lead to your denial in the process of the PECG program. So once you have all the documents, you submit them through the Brazilian embassy in your country. The embassy will guide you on deadlines, usually around the first half of the year. Normally, the application forms comes out, I think my time, it was in May. Right now, I don't know which month it actually comes out, but it's always on the first half, around the first half of the year. So after submission of your documents, you actually wait for placement. And here's something important. You don't choose the universities you want to come study here in Brazil. You actually choose the course that you want to study here. For example, in my case, I chose graphic design and visual arts, but I wasn't able to choose the universities. So the placement happens through the Ministry of Education here in Brazil. They find out the availability in the universities around here in Brazil, especially the federal universities, and then they offer the placements according to the availability. So in my case, I got one state to study the Portuguese language, and then after that, I got another state to study my course that was graphic design. So what this means is that you must be flexible with where you study. You might get São Paulo, Brasilia, Rio de Janeiro, or even in a small city in the northeast, like where I am right now, called São Luís. And if you are selected into the program, the embassy, the Brazilian embassy in your country will actually send you an official letter of acceptance. So congratulations, you got accepted. But now the real preparation begins. You need to get a student visa, organize your housing, and prepare yourself financially before you move from your home country to Brazil. And one thing that is very important for you guys to remember is that PEC-G, the program PEC-G covers tuition, but it doesn't cover living costs here in Brazil. So on average, you need around 300 to 500 US dollars per month to survive here in Brazil. It can be more or it can be less, depending on the state or the city where you'll be allocated to. For example, here in São Luís, it's now quite an expensive city. So I think 300 to $500 can be okay, depending on the rent, on your transportation, on your food, all that included in this amount. So what I would advise you guys is to start saving money, okay, before you come to Brazil, because we spend a lot here, you know. And one thing that I was advised not to do before I came here, and I would also advise you guys, is not to convert your local currency to the Brazilian currency, and don't do same with the Brazilian currency to your local currency, because you always think it's a huge amount. It's absurd. You always have to think only in the Brazilian currency once you are here in Brazil. It is also very important to make photocopies of all your documents, keep them safe, and even if needed, you can have digital backups because you never know what can happen, right? So, my final advice, don't just focus on the paperwork. You need to prepare yourself mentally because you're moving from your country to another country alone. Like I am here right now in Brazil, you know. I came here like 10 years ago and I've been here alone ever since then. So you need to prepare yourself mentally before you come here to Brazil. The Brazilian culture is warm, but it is also very different from your home country, your culture in your country. So you need to prepare emotionally and psychologically before you come. You learn how to adapt, how to respect local customs, and also you have to be open minded because there are a lot of things that you're going to find, you're going to meet, you're going to discover here in Brazil that is totally different from what you're used to. But you always need to be open minded. You need to respect the local customs and learn how to adapt. And I would also advise you to build a network of friends, both Brazilian friends and international student friends. That will help you survive the first few months when you get here to Brazil. Here in my state, we actually have an association of Africans here. So you see Ghanaians, you see Nigerians, Cape Verdeans, Mozambicans, and other nationalities, African nationalities, okay? So it is very vital and very important that you always have a network of friends because you never know when you need someone. And let me tell you guys, PEC-G is a life-changing program if you plan properly. That is what brought me here to Brazil 10 years ago. And today, I'm living well. I'm not living very good as much as I want to, but I'm living well, you know. So just take this opportunity, go ahead, don't be afraid, just risk it all, like they say, risk it to get a biscuit. And also think of it not just as staying abroad, but also as an opportunity to become a global citizen. You get exposed to a lot of things once you get here to Brazil. So that's a little bit of the roadmap for PECG, what it is, the documents you need, and how to prepare before leaving your home country to Brazil. So if you want me to make another video breaking down how to learn Portuguese for CELPE-BRAS, that is the proficiency exam, or even how to survive the first month here in Brazil as a student, let me know in the comment section. And also don't forget to subscribe because I'll be sharing more tips about studying and living in Brazil. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video helped you or helps you a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next one.